stop right here. Before you scroll past like always, let me ask you one thing that might change the way you view kindness forever. Do you think living well will earn you respect? Do you believe kindness will protect you from harm, that helping people will make them remember and treat you fairly? If something inside you just nodded slightly, then you're about to face a truth that Winston Churchill saw very early. Kindness, when misplaced, is not a shield. It is a fire that can burn down everything you've tried to build. Throughout his political career, Churchill witnessed kind people being pushed aside, good-hearted leaders being crushed by expectations and pressure, people always ready to help being turned on by those they supported when adversity struck. He understood something many still fail to realize today. The problem is not kindness itself. The problem is using kindness without strategy. Because in today's world, when you're always kind, people don't see it as a quality. They see it as your obligation. When you keep helping, they don't feel gratitude. They just expect you to keep sacrificing. When you always yield, they don't call you good. They call you replaceable. And then one day, you wonder why you're exhausted, why you're disrespected, why the people you once helped are indifferent to your pain. Churchill once said that kindness only has value when placed in the right place. And right here are 8 practical lessons drawn directly from that mindset. Lessons you can apply immediately in modern American life, from competitive workplaces to love, friendships, family, or any relationship where your kindness is being exploited rather than cherished. In this journey, you'll understand why goodness is not wrong, but goodness without strategy will make you pay a heavy price. Why living well doesn't automatically protect you, and most importantly, how to turn kindness from a weakness into a strength that others cannot disregard. And if you're ready, remember this: you don't need to be less kind, you need to be kind the right way. Now, let's step into the first lesson. The first lesson Churchill left behind is also the truth. Many good people pay dearly for. Kindness makes you easy to exploit, not because you're weak, but because you become too predictable. In his thinking, a person always ready to help, always yielding, always putting others first, is not stronger. They've unintentionally thrown open every door for others to walk through without knocking. And this happens around us every day. In America, everyone knows the image of the employee who always covers for colleagues. They stay late, they take on others' work, they try to keep the peace, and in return, they don't get promoted, but get assigned even more work, as if it's their natural duty. In families, the one who always yields, always takes the hard part, always steps up, becomes the default person responsible for everything, from bills to everyone's emotions. In relationships, the one who always replies to messages instantly, always shows up whenever called, gets labeled available. And in this busy society, available often means not important. All of this stems from a very simple psychological mechanism. When you always say yes, others treat yes as your default setting. When you offer unconditional kindness, they no longer see the kindness. They only see a free resource they've grown accustomed to using. Churchill understood this better than anyone, because in politics, nations that were too kind were often the first forced to make concessions. He once said, "You may want peace, but you cannot have peace by begging for fairness. You must have strength to protect it." The same holds true in personal life. Kind people don't lose because they're good. They lose because they think being good is enough, that sincerity alone will make others treat them fairly. But the world doesn't run on hope. It runs on perception. If you don't set boundaries, others will set them for you. If you don't choose when to show up, you'll be called whenever. If you don't know when to say no, your voice will become meaningless. And this is the reminder Churchill wanted every kind person to remember. Kindness is not doing everything. Kindness is knowing when to do the right thing. The second lesson Churchill left behind that almost everyone has experienced, but very few have the courage to face head-on. The more you give, the more people expect from you. This is not cynicism about human nature. It's a brutally simple psychological law. People adapt very quickly. What makes them grateful today becomes your obligation tomorrow. Repeated generosity, even from the purest heart, soon gets treated as default. And once something becomes default, it's no longer appreciated. Churchill understood this not only through war or politics, but through his own personal experiences early in his career. When he was young, he helped many colleagues gain positions or reputation. He supported them, paved the way for them, and sometimes sacrificed his own interests so they could rise. But when he faced hardship, when he needed support, very few stood by him. From that, Churchill realized something he later regarded as an unchanging law. Generosity doesn't create lasting allies. Value does. You can give a lot, but people won't stay because of gratitude. They stay when they recognize you have real value. That lesson appears everywhere in American life today. In the workplace, you'll always see the overworking employee supporting the team. They stay late, fix others' mistakes, solve problems that aren't their responsibility. At first, everyone praises them as helpful, dependable, a team player, but after a few weeks or months, that help becomes an unwritten duty. Everyone tacitly understands. No one says thank you anymore. No one asks if they're overloaded. And the most painful part is when they say no. Once, others get upset as if they've done something wrong. In families, the rule plays out no differently. A mother who spoils her children too much will see their gratitude vanish frighteningly fast. The first time you buy them a toy, they treasure it. The third time, they're happy. The 10th time, they take it for granted. And when you refuse, you're no longer seen as the kind mother, but as the mother who won't meet their needs. The same in friendships. If you're always the one paying for meals, driving everyone, showing up whenever someone has trouble, at first you're called the generous friend. But over time, friends stop saying thank you. Not because they're bad, they're just operating on human nature, adaptation. And once they've gotten used to your generosity, they no longer recognize it as generosity. They just see it as your role in the group. The lesson Churchill drew from both politics and life is very clear. If you give too much, you don't make others love you more. You only devalue your own giving. He said people aren't loyal to kindness. They're loyal to the strength and value they see in you. And that's why in the world's major negotiations, Churchill never gave unconditionally. He understood that giving too much destroys the meaning of giving. A gift is only a gift when given at the right time. An act of kindness only has value when it's not treated as an obligation. Support is only cherished when it's not provided for free forever. So the second lesson for anyone who wants to live kindly without being exploited is this: give with purpose. Give to the right people, at the right time, in the right amount. Don't give because you're afraid of disappointing others. Don't give because you think more giving means more appreciation. Don't give because you want peace at any cost. Give when the action comes from real value, not social pressure. Give when it doesn't break your personal boundaries. And give when you know that giving truly matters. Because in the end, you don't need to stop being kind. You just need to stop being kind. Unconditionally. The third lesson most of us feel, but few dare to state clearly. The world doesn't see what you think, doesn't hear what you feel, doesn't care how good you are inside. The world only sees the image you project. People judge by appearance, not intentions. And in a society that operates at high speed, where decisions are made after just a few seconds of observation, the gap between "I'm a good person" and "I look weak" can sometimes be just a facial expression, a posture, a tone of voice, or a hesitation in response. This is why people who are too nice, always gentle, always apologizing, always bowing their head, always taking the hard part, are often seen as lacking backbone, easy to disrespect, or not strong enough to lead. And this isn't a negative view of humanity. It's simply how the brain works. We react to visual signals before processing inner value. This is increasingly evident in modern American life. Look at social media. Every day, thousands of people quietly do charity, help communities, donate to hospitals, shelters, or non-profits. But the ones who get more attention are influencers who just need to film a 30-second video in front of the camera, talking about kindness, humanity, empathy, even if they don't do much beyond the phone. The internet doesn't care who's actually doing the work. The internet cares who tells the better story. And the real world operates the same way. In the workplace, you'll easily notice an identical rule. Employees who always say sorry, always wait for others to decide, always avoid conflict, always nod yes to every request, are often rated lower than those who speak less but decisively. Someone highly skilled but lacking outward confidence can stay forever in support roles, instead of getting big projects or promotions. A kind person who appears unsteady can be excluded from leadership lists, not because they lack ability, but because others don't see leadership in their image. Meanwhile, someone who knows how to project confidence, slow, calm, clear, gets assumed to be more reliable, even if their actual ability isn't superior. Churchill understood this rule better than anyone, and he understood it not from books, but from the moments when Britain stood on the brink of destruction, when London was bombed night after night, when thousands of families despaired, when the nation sank into unprecedented fear. Churchill knew that if he appeared panicked, if his voice trembled, if his eyes wavered, the entire nation would collapse with him. So even though inside he was a human who also knew fear like anyone else, in front of cameras, Parliament, millions of people, he kept a firm voice, strong posture, calm demeanor. Not because he was fake, but because he understood a life or death truth. A leader must make others feel safe, even when he himself is afraid. This isn't hiding your nature. This is responsibility. And when applied to individual life, the lesson becomes extremely practical. The image you project determines how others treat you. You can be incredibly kind, but if you always appear small, they'll see you as small. You can have a warm heart, but if you always hesitate, others won't trust. You can handle big things. You can be worthy of respect. But if you present yourself by constantly apologizing, you're unintentionally writing 2 words on your forehead. Not important. So the practical lesson is very clear. Build a consistent image, clear, calm, confident. Let your kindness lie beneath the surface, while your exterior must be the backbone that commands respect. Don't let kindness overshadow strength. Don't let your heart show before others see your value. And above all, remember the reminder Churchill conveyed through every action: the world doesn't see your heart. The world sees the image you create. The fourth lesson Churchill left behind is something every kind person needs to engrave in their heart. Kindness is not an endless flow. It is a finite resource, like time, energy, attention. And if you deplete it without control, you'll burn out before you can help anyone. People don't burn out from working too much. They burn out from doing too many things that bring them no value. Burnout doesn't happen because you lack ability. It happens because you lack boundaries. In America, this appears very clearly in everyday life. A full-time working mother comes home exhausted, but still has to cook, clean, help kids with homework, support friends when they need. And by night, she's completely drained. Not because she lacks kindness, but because she pours all her energy into everyone except herself. Or an employee who always stays late to help others meet deadlines, fix errors, solve troubles, even when it's not their responsibility. They want to keep peace, support the team, contribute, but in return, they lose time with family, lose sleep, lose health, and ultimately lose themselves. The irony is that when they're burned out, the people they helped aren't there to lift them up. Their burnout isn't recognized as sacrifice. It's seen as not knowing how to balance work. Churchill understood the danger of energy depletion better than anyone, because he lived at a time when an entire nation stood on the brink. When Britain was under constant attack, when millions lived in fear, Churchill knew that if he collapsed, if he burned out, if he no longer had energy for clear thinking, everything would end. So he applied iron discipline to himself. Sleep on time, rest when needed, protect every drop of energy, like protecting the nation's gold reserves. He once said, "Energy is needed for victory. An exhausted Britain would fail, and an exhausted person would fail too." From that perspective, the lesson becomes clear. Kindness depletes energy like any other resource. When you help someone, you use mental energy. When you solve problems not your responsibility, you use emotional energy. When you try to please everyone, you use inner energy, and that kind depletes fastest. But modern society makes many believe kindness means always being available, always showing up, always saying sure, always enduring, always sacrificing. That's not true. You can't fill others' cups with your own empty cup. You can't hold up a whole group while you're trembling. You can't help anyone stand firm if you can't stand yourself. When you have nothing left, you can't help anyone. And this simple truth is the first thing kind people forget. So the practical lesson Churchill wanted to pass on is very clear. Protect your energy like you protect your savings. You control how you spend money. You must also control how you spend kindness. Say no to non-priority requests. Look at your to-do list and ask, does this truly matter? Does it make me better, stronger, happier? Does it bring real value, or is it just responsibility? Others push onto me. Understand that every act of kindness has a cost, and that cost is measured in your time, energy, and peace. If you don't value your kindness, others will assume it's free, and nothing gets abused faster than what's seen as free. Therefore, the fourth lesson concludes with a reminder: every kind person needs to remember, kindness does not mean sacrificing yourself. The fifth lesson is one of the most important keys to understanding the true nature of kindness. Kindness only has value when used at the right time. A sword hanging on the wall can be razor sharp, but it only truly becomes a symbol of strength when a warrior picks it up and wields it at the right moment. Your kindness is the same. It doesn't unleash power when used indiscriminately. It becomes powerful only when directed to the right people, right circumstances, and right goals. In modern life, we see thousands of examples of this lesson every day, especially in dating, the workplace, and parenting. 3 environments where kindness is most misunderstood and depleted fastest. In dating, many think absolute kindness will make them more attractive, but the reality is completely different. Being too good from the start makes you lose value in the other's eyes. When you always text first, always agree to every request, always compliment, always go along with their wishes, you unintentionally signal that you're easy to get, predictable, and lacking personal standards. This doesn't mean you're bad. It means you're using your kindness at the wrong time. Attraction doesn't come from giving everything immediately. It comes from knowing when to give, when to hold back, and when to let the other person effort for you. In the workplace, the lesson is even sharper. Someone who tries to help all colleagues, solve every problem, take on all tasks, won't be seen as strong. They'll be seen as easy to ask, easy to dump work on, easy to sacrifice. No one respects kindness used without restraint. No one grants power to someone who doesn't protect their time and energy. Leaders aren't chosen because they help the most, but because they know what to prioritize most. If you use kindness to avoid conflict or please everyone, you'll become a tool instead of someone respected. In families, especially parenting, this lesson becomes a matter of survival. When you give children everything they want, whenever they want, you don't create gratitude. You create dependence. You create entitlement. A child always instantly satisfied won't develop independence. A child who's never heard no won't learn limits. A child given too much too soon will grow up with the illusion that everything good is owed. That's not love. That's lack of strategy. Churchill, as a wartime leader, understood better than anyone that kindness must have purpose. In diplomacy, he was gentle with America because he knew their support was needed to save Europe. But with Nazi Germany, he never showed weakness even once. He understood that kindness is for allies, strength is for enemies. That wasn't inconsistency in character. It was strategic flexibility. He knew that if you were kind to enemies, you'd be wiped out. And if you were harsh with allies, you'd be isolated. Same person, same heart, but used differently depending on the moment. That's the core of strategic virtue. And likewise, in your life, not everyone deserves your kindness in the same way. Not every moment is suitable for kindness. Not every situation calls for softness. For kindness to truly create value, you must be kind with focus. Direct kindness to important people, those who value you, who reciprocate, who build with you. Direct kindness to important things, meaningful actions, lasting relationships, situations where your kindness creates real positive change. And keep some for yourself, because the final sharp but undeniable truth is this: kindness is not weakness. Kindness is calculation. Those who calculate correctly become stronger, happier, and more respected. Those who calculate wrong get depleted, disrespected, and exploited. The problem isn't kindness. The problem is how you use it. And from today you have the right to choose to use it more intelligently. The 6th lesson Churchill left behind touches a truth that startles many good people. Gratitude is not sustainable. It's not a solid foundation to rely on, nor a measure to decide whether you should give or not. Gratitude is only an emotion, and emotions always change, fluctuate, fade over time. People forget good deeds faster than you think. They remember their own feelings much longer than your contributions. And so, if you base your happiness on others' gratitude, you'll live your whole life in disappointment. Just look at modern American life, and you'll see how true this lesson is. You can do 9 good things for someone, support them, stand by them, sacrifice for them, defend them, show up whenever they need. But just one time you can't help. One time you say, "I'm sorry, I can't today." One time you don't meet their expectations, and all 9 previous good deeds vanish from their memory as if they never existed. What they record isn't the effort of the 9 times you gave, but the discomfort of the one time you refused. In the office, it's the same. You can support a colleague all year, handle their troubles, save them from deadlines, explain for them to the boss, do parts they should do. But the day you're busy with family, or simply burned out, and refuse once, suddenly, you're no longer enthusiastic, changed, hard to work with. People don't remember long-term sacrifice. They only react to short-term refusal. In marriage too. A husband or wife can quietly care for the family for years, but society, work, time wear down emotions, and sometimes just one small mistake, a curt word, forgetting an anniversary, coming home late, becomes the focus of argument, turning all prior effort into things that should have been done. The truth isn't that people are evil. The truth is, human gratitude isn't sustainable. It fades like perfume after a few hours, like the warmth of a hug, like the feeling of a beautiful moment. Churchill understood this law at both personal and national levels. Even after leading Britain through World War II, even after becoming the symbol of resilience, even after saving the nation from destruction, he was still voted out right after victory. Not because the people deliberately forgot his contributions, but because gratitude wasn't strong enough to overcome expectations. When peacetime came, they wanted something else, a different direction, a different person. Gratitude couldn't defeat expectation. This is the lesson kind people must ponder deeply. If even a contribution as great as saving Europe from fascism couldn't keep Churchill's seat, what long-term gratitude can you expect from your small daily good deeds? So don't expect lasting recognition. Don't give because you hope others will remember forever. Don't sacrifice yourself just for fleeting praise. Help because it creates real value. Be good because it makes you a better version of yourself. Give because you know it makes the world around you stronger, not because you want credit. Because, in the end, the most memorable closing from Churchill's lesson is perhaps this: gratitude is emotion. Value is foundation. The 7th lesson is a direct blow to the greatest illusion of kind people. The world judges results, not intentions. You can be kind-hearted, hard-working, always striving for others, always acting with a sincere heart. But if what you do doesn't produce clear results, doesn't create real change, doesn't bring specific value, the world won't see you, not because they're ungrateful, but because the nature of modern society, especially in America, is built on performance, KPIs, and accountability, not on emotions or inner effort. In America, you can spend double the time others do, contribute double the effort, sacrifice more, endure more pressure, But when evaluation time comes, the company looks at output, not effort. They measure what you bring to the organization, not how hard you tried. You can stay up until exhaustion, but if the project isn't finished on time, you're still seen as not completing the task. You can support the whole team for months, but if team results don't improve, you're still recorded as not effective enough. And conversely, someone who does less than you, but delivers the assigned results exactly will be praised, promoted, rated higher, because the world measures by numbers, not by heart. In families too, the one who does the most is often the least recognized until they disappear. The mother who cooks every day for years is only noticed when she's sick for a week, and the family realizes how important that work is. The father who silently bears financial responsibility is only panicked over when he stops working for a month. The one always behind supporting others is only seen when they let go. That's how the world works. We only recognize the value of a result when it's gone, not when someone tirelessly creates it. Churchill understood this more deeply than any politician of his time. He famously said, "History will be kind to me because I intend to write it." That statement wasn't arrogance. It was sharp awareness of life's nature. Intentions didn't win him the war. Intentions didn't convince Parliament. Intentions didn't keep the people standing amid bombs. Only results did. Right decisions, precise tactics, victories won through persistence and real action. Results are the only thing that endures over time. Others can debate your character, but they can't debate what you've actually accomplished. And that lesson is what kind people need to understand. Don't just be kind, create impact. Don't just have good intentions, turn intentions into actions the world must acknowledge. Don't just work hard, work effectively. Let results speak for you. Because results are undeniable. If you help others, help in ways that make them stronger, not ways that drain you. If you work, aim for clarity, completion, specific value. If you build a relationship, create real trust, not just easy promises. And above all, never expect the world to remember what you intended to do. The world only remembers what you've done. That's the cold but liberating truth. It gives you agency. It gives you power. It gives you the ability to rewrite your life. As Churchill did, and the final message of this lesson is the world doesn't remember what you wanted to do. The world remembers what you did. The eighth lesson, and the deepest one Churchill left behind, lays the foundation for the entire mindset of strategic kindness. To create a legacy, you must first survive. You can't save anyone while you're sinking. You can't lift anyone while you're exhausted. You can't be a pillar for others if you're constantly hurt, exploited, disrespected, to the point of collapse. This truth sounds harsh, but it's the law of every relationship, every organization, every era. And it's why this lesson becomes the foundation for all the previous ones. Strength before kindness. In life, you'll see this clearly in the most familiar roles. A parent, no matter how much they love their child, can't raise a healthy child if they themselves aren't stable. An exhausted, anxious, insecure mother can't give her child a sense of safety. An exhausted, directionless father can't pass confidence to his child. To care for children, parents must first care for themselves. Strength isn't selfishness. Strength is the condition for love to exist long-term. The same for leaders. A weak leader makes the team anxious. A trembling leader makes every decision chaotic. A leader who always tries to please everyone loses collective trust. People don't follow the kindest, they follow the strongest. A team only feels safe when they know the leader has the backbone to steer through storms. And a leader's kindness only matters when built on absolute solidity. In personal relationships, this lesson is even more evident. You can love someone deeply, be kind to them with all your heart, but if you let yourself be hurt to the point of losing value, your kindness can't save that relationship. Your kindness can't save others from themselves. If you're trampled until you can't stand again, kindness can't save anyone if you forget how to protect yourself. Churchill understood this at the cost of blood, lives, and a nation. If he hadn't survived the war, if he had collapsed under the pressure of bombs and the panic engulfing London, no one would have been saved. No victory would have happened. No legacy would remain. No free world as we know it today. His strength, unbreakable will, uncollapsed spirit, inexhaustible energy was what allowed his kindness to become kindness with global impact. Churchill didn't fight for himself. He fought for a world he believed worth protecting, but he understood if he didn't stand firm, he couldn't protect anyone. That's why never surrender wasn't just a wartime slogan. It was a philosophy of life. It says you must be strong, resolute, protect your energy, boundaries and value before you can give anything meaningful to the world. And that's the most practical lesson for all of us. Without strength, there is no legacy. You can't create lasting influence if you lose yourself along the way. You can't build a future if you don't have the strength to keep walking. You can't inspire if you no longer have light in your soul. Therefore, kindness must come after survival. Not because kindness isn't important, but because kindness can only shine when supported by inner strength. And the final message of this lesson, perhaps the one Churchill would want to give any kind person struggling in life, is this: to protect others, you must be strong first. At this point, after 8 lessons Churchill left behind, everything converges into one point: choice. And this is the climactic moment no one can avoid. Look back quickly and concisely at what we've just gone through. Kindness makes you easy to exploit. Excessive generosity makes others disrespect you. The image you project matters more than the intentions you carry. Your energy is a finite resource. Kindness only has value when used at the right time. Gratitude isn't sustainable. The world measures results, not effort. And most importantly, you must survive, must be strong to create a legacy. All 8 lessons converge on one common truth. Kindness without strategy will destroy you. It makes you exhausted, disrespected, exploited, forgotten, pushed to the back in your own life. But kindness with power, kindness used selectively, with boundaries, intelligence, purpose, will transform your life. It makes you respected instead of disrespected, gives you a voice instead of being ignored, makes you influential instead of exploited, turns your kindness into a spreading light instead of a candle snuffed out by the wind. And now, the question Churchill would want to ask you, a cold but liberating question, is: do you want to be the kind person who gets hurt, or the kind person who is respected? Do you want your kindness to be a thin garment that the winds of life knock you down with, or armor that helps you stand firm among wolves? Do you want to keep sacrificing unconditionally until you lose yourself? Or do you want to learn to use kindness as strategic power to build a life worthy of you? Churchill once said, "Courage is what transforms destiny. Courage is what changes fate, not vague hope, not blind kindness. Courage to set boundaries. Courage to say no. Courage to protect yourself. Courage to choose a way of living that makes you stronger, not weaker. And so right now, you must answer the most important question of your life. The question no one else can answer for you. Which path will you choose for the rest of your life? And when everything quiets down, and it's just you facing yourself, this is when the final truth steps into the light. Kindness is not weakness. It never was weakness. The problem isn't kindness. The problem is how you use it. When used blindly, it hurts you. But when used correctly, with intelligence, limits, purpose, kindness becomes power. It makes you stronger, sharper, more trustworthy, and capable of greater influence than any other tool. This is the hidden truth that Churchill lived, applied, and proved with his entire life. Kindness doesn't destroy you. Kindness without strategy destroys you. But kindness with power, kindness placed in the right place, right people, right time, can turn an entire nation, a war, a life around. And now, before you leave this journey, I want you to affirm one thing as a commitment to yourself. I master strategic kindness. Because when you master it, you don't just protect yourself, you create a new version of yourself. A kind person, but not weak. Soft, but not exploited. Loving, but also standing firm. If you want to understand more deeply about psychology, power, the art of leadership, and how to apply lessons like these to life, please like, share, and subscribe, so you don't miss any perspective that could change the way you step into the world. And finally, a message in Churchill's spirit sent to you. Don't be a sheep among wolves. Be the one leading the pack, with kindness, but also with strength.